The Bible is a living word that reads us as we read it. It's a person, a voice that proves that time is not linear, as one sentence can confirm the past, guide the present, and declare the future. You are here. I am here. He is here. We are here. Right now. In the tomorrow of yesterday and in the yesterday of tomorrow. I thank you for joining today. So we're back. Thank you so much for joining once again. In our last episode, we talked about Absalom's journey back to Jerusalem. Though David clearly missed his son, Absalom, he had a lot to consider before inviting him to return home. Absalom had his brother's blood on his hands, and David, a political leader, had to make sure not to appear to have a soft underbelly. So David decided to show Absalom some stiff-armed love. He invited him to return, but he wouldn't allow Absalom to actually meet with him. After 2 years of waiting, Absalom, displeased with the stipulations around his return, insists on an audience with the king, and David eventually sent for him. Absalom bowed before David, and David restored his status. Unfortunately, Absalom's resentment was deeply rooted and had an agenda of its own to undercut David's authority. Far be it from me to withhold such a detail, but Absalom was fine. Okay? He was a fine, sun-kissed man with long, thick hair. He had charisma, he had wit, he had 50 newly hired bodyguards, and he had a plan. Every day he got up and he put in the work. Standing at the city gate, Absalom interacted with the people. He got to know what troubled them, and slowly but surely, he won over the hearts of the people. After 4 years of working at it, hearing the people's problems and leading them to believe that he was instrumental in them getting their solution, Absalom sent a message all throughout Israel to stir up a rebellion against his dad. He even poached one of David's advisors, a man named Ahithophel. Now, if the Eliam listed in 2 Samuel 24, verse 34, as the son of Ahithophel, is the same Eliam identified in 2 Samuel 11:3, the father of Bathsheba, then Ahithophel would have been Bathsheba's grandfather. And if such is the case, I imagine that it was particularly challenging for Ahithophel to remain in David's service while very likely knowing that David took part in fracturing and ruining what once was Bathsheba's family. When Absalom sent for Ahithophel, I doubt that he thought twice about it. I mean, he had more than enough motive to join a rebellion against David. Think about it. Especially if it looked promising. And it did at the time. It really looked like Absalom was going to undermine David. So word got back to David that Absalom led a conspiracy against him and that he had quite a following. And do you know what David did? David, the giant slayer, the brave, the legend, ran. He didn't automatically mobilize his army made of mighty warriors. He didn't instinctively say, "No, fam, I went through way too much to get here. I'm not giving it up without a fight." Instead, he said, "Yo, let's roll out." He packed up his household, leaving only 10 of his contracted side pieces to look after the palace, and he made a move. Though it may appear that David was a coward for leaving and not standing up to Absalom, let's not forget, David knew that this day would come. Let's take it back in 2 Samuel chapter 12. After David knocked up Bathsheba, set up her husband, Nathan the prophet visited David with a message from the Lord. And the Lord said, "Because of what you've done, I will cause your own household to rebel against you. I will give your wives to another man before your very eyes, and he will go to bed with them in public view. Yeah, you did it secretly, but I'm going to make it happen in the open, in the sight of all of Israel. That being said, this wasn't new news to David. He knew this day would come. Now, make no mistake about it, David did not bow out. He actually bowed down. He bowed down to the one who could help him. We actually can read a journal entry that David wrote about this very situation in Psalm 3. David said, oh Lord, I have so many enemies. So many are against me. So many are saying, man, God will never rescue him. But you, oh Lord, are a shield around me. You are my glory, the one who holds my head high. I cried out to the Lord and he answered me from his holy mountain. I lay down and slept, yet I woke up in safety, for the Lord was watching over me. I'm not afraid of 10,000 enemies who surround me on every side. Arise, O Lord. Rescue me, my God. Slap all my enemies in the face. Shatter the teeth of the wicked. Victory comes from you, O Lord. May you bless your people. David surrendered to the will of God and trusted that he would be merciful, even in discipline. David even told two of his priests, Zadok and Abiathar, who were alongside him when he ran, to take the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem. Listen, if it's the Lord's will for me to see it again, I'll be back. But if he's done with me, he's done with me. Despite all of the people who backed Absalom, there was still quite a few people who rocked it out with David. And he strategically sent key players back to Jerusalem as plants who would monitor and report on what Absalom was up to. Now, I already mentioned he sent Zadok and Abiathar back. Another plant was a guy named Hushai, and he had one job to counter Ahithophel's advice, and that proved to be very necessary. Ahithophel knew exactly what moves to make to stoke the fire of Absalom's rebellion against David. And one day, Absalom asked him, what's next, man? I'm here. I made it to Jerusalem. I have the following. They calling me king. What do I do now? Yo, your pops left his concubines here, man. 10 baddies that were once at his service. You king now, so have it your way. You need to sleep with him. Then all of Israel will know that you diss your pops beyond reconciliation, and they'll be locked in with you. Just as the Lord said that it would play out through Nathan, Absalom lay with his father's women publicly, out in the open. And guess where? On the palace roof for all to see. The last time we read about someone on the palace roof, it was David. He was eyeballing Bathsheba as she bathed. Now, this is a full circle moment. Ahithophel, who is believed to be Bathsheba's grandfather, advised Absalom to betray David, and it happened on the same roof where this snowball began. Now, if you thought that plan was low, keep listening. After Absalom's public display of affection, if I may, Ahithophel had another idea. Hey, King Absalom. That's got a nice ring to it. King Absalom. I like that. Now we need to make a move like yesterday. Let me get a group of, let's say, 12,000 men, and I'll ride out with them tonight to go after David. I'll move on him while he's broken down and tired, and his men will be caught so off guard, they'll all scatter. And then, checkmate. I will personally see to it that David is neutralized. After that, I'll bring all the people back to you because it's no use in them being casualties. It's only David who we're after. I imagine Absalom sat nodding his head like, yo, you're not wrong. I mean, it sounds like a good idea and everything, but I mean, I don't know. Bring in Hushai. Let's run it by him. Hushai, keep in mind, is one of David's plants. Yeah, I see where he coming from and everything, but nah, that's not gonna work. No disrespect to you, King, but your pops is an OG. Have you met him? He and his crew are all warriors. They true to this. They ain't new to this. Ahithophel, he'll go out there, get ambushed. Your men, they gonna all run. And then all of the soldiers gonna be riddled with fear. You need a better plan than that. Here's what you do. Bump that whole 12,000 men idea. You need to go gather the entire army of Israel. I'm talking from the north side to the south side. Then swoop in on David. If he runs and hides in a nearby town, man, we'll bring the walls down. Hushai had Absalom feeling hyped, and he was ready to gather the troops from all of Israel. Ahithophel, however, knew that Hushai's plan would buy David too much time and would ultimately lead to Absalom's downfall and the return of King David. Ahithophel was a traitor. He decided he was not going to stick around to face David himself. So he went home, got his affairs in order, and decided to retire early. And I mean, permanently. Meanwhile, Hushai gave word to David's other plans, Zadok and Abiathar, so that they could send messengers to sneak and tell David to get out of Dodge. The messengers ran into a bit of a hiccup, but overall, they were able to successfully alert David. David made moves. He organized his troops. He split them in three groups, one led by Joab, another by his brother Abishai, and the third by a man named Ittai. Though David was ready to gear up and go out to fight, the men insisted, like, no, man, you need to stay back on this one. So David sent them all on their way, and he gave strict instruction for the men to take it easy on Absalom and be gentle with him. That's his son. His son might have lost his mind a little bit and was tripping, but that was still his son. And David did not want Absalom to be met with any harm. On the other side, Absalom also organized his troops, placing Joab's cousin Amasa in charge as commander of the army. Absalom had grit, he had the army, he had moxie, but he didn't have the right leave-in hair conditioner. I hate to leave you hanging. If you know, you know, but I look forward to sharing more in our next episode if the Lord blesses me to record another. Until next time, bye for now.